Jeffrey Epstein's longtime associate, Ghislaine Maxwell, says she will testify before Congress, but with strings attached. Maxwell's attorneys laying out a list of demands that they want met in exchange for her cooperation. That list includes getting those questions in advance. They want the interview to take place outside the correctional facility where she's imprisoned. The interview must be scheduled after her appeal is concluded on her 2021 sex trafficking conviction. And she's also calling for full immunity. But the House Oversight Committee has already said it will not be granting that. Joining me now is federal defense attorney Ronald Chapman. Ronald, her legal team calls this list of conditions non-starters, or else she's just going to get up there and plead the fifth. Are those reasonable asks from her team, and do you see any of them getting granted?
There's great defense needs why these requests need to be made. First, she's got a pending appeal, so she needs immunity, right? If she admits to these offenses in front of Congress, or if she's asked questions that cause her to admit to these offenses, it's really going to impact the ability of her Supreme Court appeal to get off the ground. And then if she's retried, it's going to cause some problems for her there as well. So immunity would definitely have to be on the table for her. But questions in advance, handling this after the Supreme Court brief, I think these are really non-starters for Congress. Typically, they're going to want to have a full opportunity to question her.
Yeah, and the House Oversight Committee already hit back saying they'd be declining the immunity request in particular. Is there anything else that they could offer up instead that might be appealing to her or her team?
We've seen some indications of a closed-door, sealed session used in other cases. I believe that some of that happened during the Hunter Biden questioning. But I don't think that they're going to offer it here because, recall, the DOJ is already moving to unseal a lot of the transcripts in this case in an effort to show transparency. So I think we really are at an impasse. But I will say, the big thing that's hanging over this entire case is whether or not Donald Trump will offer a pardon. I think he may want to do that in order to prevent her from having a Supreme Court appeal, to moot that appeal so that he can then go after co-conspirators based on the information that he gets.
Is that why you think he didn't give a yes or a no this week in Scotland when reporters asked him if he was thinking about it? He said, nobody's come to me with that yet. It'd be inappropriate to talk about it right now. But he didn't say yes and he didn't say no.
I believe that's exactly it. I believe the attorneys advising him are telling him, listen, you don't want the Supreme Court to go in Maxwell's favor on this appeal, which basically says this plea agreement with Epstein should cover Maxwell because it covered co-conspirators. The Supreme Court will decide whether or not co-conspirators can actually be charged in these types of cases. And if the Supreme Court goes for Maxwell, that does really impact further investigations and holding other people accountable for the offenses that happened here.
Yeah, I've been thinking about, just the amount of leverage she has right now. How much is the ball in her court? Because her name is prominently back in the headlines in a way that it hasn't been since her 2021 conviction. And now people, the DOJ, lawmakers, they're chomping at the bit for her to come forward and talk. So is this the most leverage that she's ever going to have again in this moment?
I think that's a really good point. I think it looks like she has a ton of leverage right now, but there is one counterbalance there. The Biden administration did not seem too interested in her. They didn't really ask her questions. They went ahead and tried her. It's because either they didn't believe the information or they didn't want to hear the information. I'm not sure which one is true, but it's very possible that the names that she provides doesn't really shake out from an evidentiary standpoint once she does provide them.
Yeah, and is there a problem with that this is the same DOJ that has questioned her truthfulness in the past, but is now really wanting her to come forward and talk and listen to what she has to say? Is there any conflict of interest there or concern that they wouldn't be an impartial arbiter in this case?
Yeah, rightly so. I think that this gives us Michael Cohen vibes, right? They first say that he's the biggest liar on the planet, and then they put him on the witness stand to try to testify. It's a very difficult thing for the DOJ to use folks like this. But one thing a prosecutor will always say in closing argument to a jury is that these sorts of deals don't happen amongst angels. Sometimes you have to cut some deals with bad people in order to get these cases off the ground. And that argument typically works pretty well for the DOJ.
Well, we'll see what new developments come next. Ronald Chapman, thank you so much, as always, for your time and expertise.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you.